the miracle doc, they counted me out. Moment of truth, counting it down. Underdog story was down for the count. Back on my feet, back with a mic, back on the beat, back with a family that bang in the streets. The game on lock, I stand with a key. Standing my ground, I am planning to flee. Standing my ground, I am planting my feet. Taking a stand, embracing my destiny, shaking his hand, flipping the script.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sunday Night CrossFit Talk here on the Clydesdale Media YouTube channel. Good to be with you. We have Jamie Latimer, we have Carolyne Prevost, and we have myself. And in the chat already, we have the best stats and information person in the business, Holly Dugan. Data Wad on Instagram.
Scott, did you get a haircut or
Lack of haircut.
It looks good.
If I did my normal, it would be like this tall. Yeah. So yeah, I have a haircut scheduled on Tuesday.
Okay.
Before I leave for Fort Worth.
Just in time.
This is my old do before like my transformation into podcaster. Don't laugh.
I like
I see
it.
you, Carolyne. I see you.
I like
smirking.
it. I think it looks good.
I don't know. I just hate it's an old corporate look. All right. Keeping It Real wants to borrow some of my hair permanently. They're definitely going to cut off enough on Tuesday for sure. Bruce is asking for an update show with Cheryl. Missed those. We had made an announcement that we are taking a break till after the games, and we are reformatting that show to make it more of a community show, do some workouts of the week, things like that. So the last one we did, go check that out. We talk about all the changes we're going to make, and we'll be relaunching that show right after the games. So, guys watching the Olympics this week, has your week slowed down, Jamie? Anything updated?
No Olympics for me.
I've been like nonstop watching the Olympics. I'm off right now in the summer. It's like all I'm doing is just consuming the Olympics and different stuff. So it's great.
Yeah, I can't. I watched a lot of Simone and I watched a lot of Caity and them going back and forth on the gold medal count, which I thought was pretty cool. I just kind of watching how like Simone tied, Caity went ahead. Simone's got a couple more events. Like who's going to end up as the biggest or the American with the female with the most gold medals? Look.
Caity says that she might compete in 2028 in Los Angeles. Like Simone won't probably, but Ledecky will. Will also. Oh. But you never know.
Yeah.
Like 4 years in a gymnast it is pretty hard. Like at her age, like she's already one of the older gymnasts. I think you can stay within the sport longer in swimming than you probably can in gymnastics. But I think Simone can catch up.
I think Ledecky can do the long distance stuff for sure. The 800 and the 1500, I think she could do that, and probably win those. I posted something on my story in the 1500. She holds the 20 fastest times in history. Like that is insane.
It is insane.
Like that is completely unheard of. I don't think people can grasp what domination that is in one event.
I mean, I think her just winning, like I saw it was like 10 seconds ahead of the next person. Like that's insane. You see all these other races are so darn close, like hundredths of a second. And then there's Caity.
And that was
nobody else.
Sixth best time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? Like that's the concept. It's like hard to grasp put your head around. Yeah. Well,
so what happened with the Canadian soccer? I haven't caught it, but you were telling me about them last week.
Well, they ended up going 3-0 in the round robin, so they made it through to the quarterfinals. They played against Germany, who's a really good team, and then they ended up losing in a shootout. So Germany's off to the semis, and USA for you guys are off to the semis. So that's who they'll be playing, I think.
Got
It's
it.
not us against you, Caroline.
Well, I mean, it kind of is.
We're Canadian at heart.
So can I ask you this? With the penalty they incurred because of the drone thing, did it make them a lower seed and have to go against a better team in the next round?
Yeah, that too. Like,
Yeah.
they would have probably have had an easier opponent for their quarterfinals, but they come out, with only 3 points instead of 9 points. So I'm sure that being second in their group makes a big difference or second or third in their group would make a difference.
Yeah, that would be tough. I have you guys watched any of Alana Moore?
No.
She's the rugby player that stiff-armed the guy on stiff-armed the girl. If you are not following her on Instagram,
I am.
the funniest athlete I think out there. She's up there with Rebecca Fuselier and internet content. So funny.
She started the Olympics with around like 600 something thousand followers, and I think she's at 2.7 million now. Like, she's like blown up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
She's like really doing well for herself. Like, her social media is blowing up, and I just think that her content is great.
Yeah.
She's like marketing herself very well, and her sport too. It's like she's doing a great job. People are definitely really invested.
I would watch rugby sevens now that I know what it is. Like, it is fast. It's over quick. Like, I could watch that all day. So she's made me a fan for sure. Vi asks, in your opinion, do you think they already have or continue to benefit from the knowledge their coaches gained when cheating? Speaking of the Canadian team, do you think that they gained after the suspension, everything? Do you think that they actually still have an advantage?
I think every team does it, and that Canada got caught. That's my opinion on it.
With drones?
Spying of some sort. Yes. Like, there's an American soccer player at the Olympics, I'm pretty sure, that said he knows for a fact that all the top teams do it. Like, and I feel like that's most likely the case in different ways, that they would be spying on different teams. Like, I would not be surprised one bit. Like, I do not think it's only Canada.
So the question was, because the coach cheated and gained knowledge, does it help them even if the coach is removed? And I believe it does. They were trained in one way or were given advice about one team that still stands even when the coach is removed. But I do agree with you that everybody tries to cheat. Most people try to cheat.
Yeah, I just think, like, in a sport like soccer, where it's very, reaction, and like, you can know what formations they play. Let's say they play 4-4-2, or I don't know, 3-4-3 or something. Like, just knowing certain formations, like, I don't know, is it that much of an advantage to spy on them? I feel like you can study film quite a bit, like knowing, like looking at their practices. Where I think it would play an advantage is like looking at the goalkeeper and tendencies, or if they could watch a shootout that they would do at practices and see the tendency of a certain player. Okay, they like to shoot left, so then you write it on your water bottle. This player's coming up to shoot, number 5. Okay, dive to my left. Like, that kind of stuff would be more beneficial. In terms of formation, I feel like once the game starts, you adjust to how it is. I don't know. But I'm sure there's advantages still.
Kipping It Real asks, what sport can I easily become an Olympian in? I think that I think that's almost a disrespectful question, because I think to be an Olympian is really, 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 really hard. I wanted to be an Olympian when I was growing up, and when I became a sophomore in high school, I knew it was over. I know Carolyne tried to be an Olympian in Canada, and then you find out at some point it's over. Like, and that's working your whole life toward that one goal. Like I think even making that statement, even if you're like in archery or skeet shooting or whatever it is, breakdancing, like you have to put a lot of work in to be the best in the world.
I don't know, that Turkish guy shooting. He just sounds like he just picked up a gun and after his divorce and went, and now he's an Olympian.
That was just his picture with just the hand in the pocket is awesome.
Yeah.
There are stories of people moving to small countries and doing it. Yeah, that's not picking a sport though. That's gaming the system. I saw a special, and of course, swimming is my slant, but where people have gone and done that in countries and could barely swim, and they've had to almost hold them in a heat by themselves so they could be saved.
The most impressive Olympians, though, by far to me, is the decathletes. Like they're the best athletes in the world. Could they be the fittest in the world? I mean, the way that they're elite in their sprinting and distance. I mean, you look at their bodies. Obviously, it would be like there's no like they could probably do a bunch of strict pull-ups. They wouldn't have the same gymnastic skills that we have, but it's a good argument that they're the fittest in the world.
I would love to see a decathlete actually try to compete at CrossFit.
But they would have to learn some of the things, and we're programming for our programming is CrossFit base, but their sprinting would our sprinting is a joke compared to their results. Our endurance is a joke compared to what they're able to do. They're able to high jump, throw a javelin, shot put, long jumper. It's impressive what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you remember back in the old days of CrossFit when they had the skills competition where they did the broad jump and they did and they weren't full point events. They just did a bunch of skills. Do you think that would be cool to bring back, or do you think that that's not exciting enough for the crowd?
I think it'd be cool to bring back.
I like it. I just think we're so novice at it. I personally would like to see it, but I don't think that many of the athletes would be very good at it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
People have specialized so much in CrossFit.
I heard people speculating when the Farrington field was announced before we got more details that it might be something like that, like the old broad jump, maybe a vertical, maybe just a bunch of skills things that are 25-point events or 50-point events as opposed to 100-point events, and you just combine them all together.
I would love it. I'd love to see it. I think it's an important part of fitness, and it doesn't get tested enough.
Yeah, we know Dave's not bringing back the softball throw, but the rest of them could be brought back and made into something kind of cool. So, all right, well, let's dive into the show a little bit. Dave has decided instead of a week in review, he's going to do a day in review while he's at the CrossFit Games. Just overall general thoughts, if you've caught any of those, what your thoughts are about Dave's day in review.
I mean, I think I like it. It gets you, for those of us that aren't there yet or going at all, it's cool to see some of those set up, just see different parts of the venue, and put you in. It gets you excited. It's that lead up to draw you in. What's going on? What are they testing? What does he got to say?
Yeah, night one was kind of meh, but you did get to see Dickey's Arena. You got to see it at night. You got to see that there's steps leading up to it, that it looks a lot bigger with Dave kind of in perspective of it than it does in some of the shots we see online. Night two, thought was outstanding. He's in the stadium seats with the demo team down on the field, working through some stuff, and then you get your magnifying glass out and you're trying to figure out all the clues.
Oh yeah, I was zooming into the background, looking at where everything was placed.
I text Jamie this morning. I'm like, zoom in to the left behind Dave's shoulder. Are those like the pylons that they ran around in the sprint? She goes, I don't know. It's too blurry.
It's, if anything, it'd be like, if it is, I just think there's the one and it's for like the end turnaround, just down, around and back. I don't think it's going to be like a bunch of them out on the field.
You think it's like a suicide?
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I mean, if they're
Just
carrying that
boring
star,
to me. Like, give me some zigzag. You're not asking, like, they've done that a couple times and it's been awesome every time they've done it. Except for when people got cut because they stepped on the line.
yeah.
But that's part of track and field. Like you step on the line at track and field, you're out. We knew the rules. Like, there's plenty of room. You're just not cutting right. I don't know.
If they add the zigzag, then my Brooke Wells prediction might be right. Just saying.
He said that the event was based or inspired from one of the events from Carson. Is that what he said on his
He said that they were going to be working on his favorite event today, and it was inspired by something from Madison loosely. But then, did you pick up any clues, Carolyne, with your magnifying glass and zoom?
There's the starting block, which is just where the name thing goes over, and then I think there was 3 pylons. Those are the ones that normally you cut across around, or if it's a suicide, you could also like run around that way. The happy star in his story today, where you saw what's her name, Trista, holding it. It didn't look like it was that heavy. I mean, she didn't make it look like it was super, super heavy. It looks huge though, but not sure how. I still don't know how they're going to use that into the sprint. So excited to see what they'll do with it. Whether they throw it in a sled, they run with it. Yeah, there wasn't many clues on the floor or on the field.
Mm-mm.
So you could see sandbag-like things over by the people to the right, in front of them. And then the other big clue for me was you saw Colton, Tudor, and Tetlow running, straight running around the track like a mile would be run.
Right.
Nothing in their hands. And so it looks like straight mile to me.
I think he also had posted Sydney running the mile on his story. Yeah, like you have to almost watch his Instagram story because there's a lot of clues on those too that will be popping up, or pictures that will be popping up this week.
So I'm going to run through a story since you brought that up, or just go through it. So this is inside the arena. And then Keeping It Real made it onto Dave's story.
Nice.
Here's Sydney Wells running, just like Carolyne said.
Here's the boys.
Yep. Looks like a drop in. Okay. And there is his, like, just recap of the day in review. And where are we at here? Oh, the lake.
Oh.
There's a big paddleboard. There's some people running.
Are they going to go right into the water?
Board on it. No, they go into the paddleboard.
Oh.
But they're all on their knees, so I don't think that they're allowed to do the stand up.
I don't think you'd want to, really. So, I mean, knees seems like the safest way to go on this.
I think Dave also says that they're going the wrong direction when they're on them.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's Dave's stories from today. Keeping It Real says, I was surprised he had them testing teams. I thought they would be testing individual. They're the only testers they got. So if they need someone to test.
We tested plenty of team workouts last year on the demo team. They have to test most of like both teams and individuals. And we ended up testing more of the team workouts than individuals because the individuals are oftentimes easier to test, but like the big bobs and stuff, or just like the layout, they'll be like that demo team is going to be put through a bunch. Like they'll put 4 athletes. Okay, you guys will go do this team workout. And then the other 2 athletes, the male and female, might test an individual workout. And if they don't like something, okay, let's get another 2 athletes, male and female, to test this individual workout. And they'll be like, oh, which 4 you guys think would be the best to test this team workout? And then they kind of talk about what they can do there. So no, those athletes are getting put through the ringer.
And for people who don't remember, Carolyne was a demo team member last year. So she knows all about what they're put through because she experienced it firsthand herself.
Yeah, the first few days is a lot of testing. It slows down for the demo team after, where they're doing engagement and might be showing up at level 1s or seminar workouts or community stuff. But the first few days you basically got to be ready to next man up or next woman up to do a workout.
What is more fatiguing, demo team or competing at the games?
I mean, I think competing at the games, because you have a pressure, like you're anxious, like it's just, I don't know, it's very different. It's different. I was still very sore from the demo team stuff. Definitely.
When I was there in 2017 and we were working on Strongman Sphere, the demo team tested that event, I swear, like 20 times within 2 days.
Ugh.
Like, and it kept changing. Like our instructions on how to set it up kept changing. The weights on everything kept changing. It took that long for them to get it right.
The thing is like they have testers that will test it prior to the actual games. Like when I was on the demo team last year, I didn't know a single workout until I got to the games and did them there. It looks like with Dave back in the picture, he brought some of those demo athletes out to the ranch, or he may have went to different locations with certain athletes to test it out prior, like multiple weeks. So, I mean, that also could leave more time for leakage of certain information. But I know that they had last year a camp in Columbus that had certain testers do workouts, and then the demo team did them on site. But like we didn't know anything prior.
Yeah. The teams tested here in Columbus again. I know Boz came to Columbus because they just do it at Rogue, in the warehouse. And so it's just easy to get everybody here where the equipment is, I'm guessing, for the teams. So they did that. So the other thing that came out this week from Dave's Instagram was the event 4, which we'll go ahead and just play because we have it here. And I've heard no bad comments about this workout. Like everybody seems to love the structure of this workout.
Yeah. Yeah, I personally love this workout. I would love to do it.
So was it on purpose where you went 50 TRI and then erased it?
I'm sure. It makes no sense. It doesn't go with anything else that he would have been writing. $25 rope climbs is no joke, though.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Especially if it happens to be like the 20-foot rope climbs too.
So what do you think about the weights on the deadlift?
I think it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's got 100 deadlifts. I don't think you need to go heavier than that.
I don't like to see heavier, so I think this is perfect. I think this is a great workout.
Do we think that Dave did this, or I can't picture Dave using emojis at any time in his life?
I can. I know, I think Savon said he doesn't, but I totally can see him sending an emoji. Do we think this is him actually doing this? I doubt it. I don't know.
So,
So involved right now.
Are triple unders a fake leak?
Who knows?
You know, I kind of wish, like, hope that he did intentionally, like, tell like one person something that is not going to be used to see if it would get leaked. Like, I think that would be the smart way to go, assuming they're ever going to actually do anything about it. But like, you should totally add in a movement every year and see who leaks it.
I was watching Plate Stack chat the other day that Grant was on, keeping it real, and they talked about, should you suspend someone who leaks information? And I think you should. I don't know if it's 4-year ban, but it's just as damaging to the sport as someone popping for PEDs. And I do believe like a suspension is in order if that's what happened.
I agree. But how do you know who it was unless like you intentionally did something like that, like gave someone devil's press and someone triple unders and someone knees to elbows, and you see who comes out with what, then you know who your leak is.
It's just so hard because you have the demo athletes that, let's say, will know the workouts this week or possibly prior. You have other testers that have done the workouts. You have people that are walking around facilities when things are getting tested. You have judges that might know workouts ahead of time. You have seminar staff, people that might know parts of, like, you know, the pictures just starts getting bigger and it's hard to pinpoint probably where it comes from unless you have direct evidence. Yeah, it's the unknown of our sport is a huge problem because it's oftentimes not unknown to everyone.
Right.
Well, apparently Ariel got a call from HQ after that was aired on Grant's show the other day. So apparently they were investigating to some degree as to what happened.
Which they should.
And if you find out who it is, I do think there should be a punishment.
I agree.
Because it's not getting better, it's getting worse.
Right.
And we, even on that show, I was saying in the chat that there are times where who cares? Like it's just this to that. But those crossover double unders that got leaked a couple years ago were huge. Mm-hmm. The fact that half the field had a beaded rope before that event made it a completely unfair advantage for half the field.
Yeah.
And I know Carolyne was competing that year and she didn't have a beaded rope.
Nope. I didn't make it to there.
So Vi says HQ could publicly name them as responsible for the game's leaks, and shame can be very powerful. And I guess I'm assuming it with suspension that it's an athlete, but it could be someone that's not an athlete. And so suspension won't do any good.
Yeah, like that's, you don't know if it's an athlete. It could be a bystander that was watching. Like you have, I mean, I'm sure that they have normally, like I would assume that they would only have, let's say, Boz, Dave, and Chuck, watching the workouts, getting tested, and then they're just writing notes. But if there's other people that are there, like you just don't know. It's hard.
Yeah. And you have like the graphics guys, like a graphics guy has to make all that stuff for production of the TV show that like, this is the workout and this is what's in it. Like all that has to be done too. ESPN's probably got a list of what the workout is. So yeah, it is deeper than it used to be, I'm sure. So that leak was that the box is different. Do you think that the box is structured different now that you've heard that? Or do you think like your initial reaction when we showed that video last week that there was like a line she had to step over on top, or a chalk mark she had to step into and out of? Do you think the box is actually structured different, or do you think you were right initially?
I still think there's an area that you have to step up into with both feet before you can go to the other side of the box. Like whether that's a straight line going across the middle of the box and you have to stand up, 2 feet must make contact here. I don't know. Like it just looked like you had to stand up, let's say 3 point of contact, stand up straight, step, and then come down.
Larry Young says the leak could come from drone watching them test. I've heard that's done in other places. Bruce says there's footprints on it, but it would have to change when they come up the other side of the box.
Yeah.
So I don't think it could be
when I looked at the video, it looked like one side was lower than the other. To me, but that would be very weird. I mean, unless it's like almost like a step, but I doubt it.
Yeah,
but just like where her knee was going on this side was higher than on the left side of the frame. But I don't know how that would change how the box is.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that came out this week, and thank you to the Barbell Spin, they made a nice little schedule of events for the week. You can also download the Games app, but this is one little square, shows you all the stuff pretty generically. I think if you want to know what's going on this weekend, this is the best way to figure it out.
Yeah, this graphic is far superior than the website.
Because I know when we're at the games, it is chaos. And like, we're always asking each other, when's the next event? When's the next event? Like, I'm probably going to print this off, laminate it, and have it with me at all times. So I know like when the next thing is, when can I be there? So, but what I do notice too, is there are, like Dave talked about, there are built-in breaks in the day where there's absolutely nothing going on in the venue. So like Thursday, you have the 2 events out at the lake, and then there's a break from 9 to 11 a.m. Then the next event is 11 to 2, and then team event from 2:15 to 4. You have opening ceremonies for a half an hour, and then 4:30 to 5:30, another break before the indies come back in and do 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. What could that be? For the final event of Thursday.
I think that's close. Like the opening ceremonies being 4 to 4:30, and then an hour after you have a group of them that are going to be first heat in that individual event on a Thursday. I wish there was more time for the athletes there, because I mean, assuming it's a short workout, that they don't need too much time to warm up. Like that seems very close to, because 5:30 would be the start time of first heat.
Yeah.
And if anything runs a little bit off, which normally they don't, I think the Games is pretty good at staying on like exactly on time, unless there was like a rain delay, which that won't be an issue this year. Yeah, just a very quick turnaround there for whoever's in that first heat.
Yeah.
So again, we get to Friday, we have team events to start the day, and then a long indie event, then a break, an hour break, back to a team event, indie event, and then a break. And that 5:40 to 8 p.m., that's a pretty good chunk break before heading to Farrington Field for the final event of the night.
Does that Thursday night 5:30, 8 p.m. Is that the ESPN block?
I don't know. I can't. I would only be guessing if I answered that question. That would make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because I think they were touting that it was more prime time, so that would be until 9 p.m. Eastern time, and get into the prime time block if they did that.
Yeah.
With at least maybe the final heats. So you could like run the final heat of men and women at 8 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah. I might try to find that.
Then Saturday starts at 8 a.m. That's Chad. And then you have a little break, then team event, indie event, team event again, and then an hour break, indie event. But this is a short day. Like we're done at 6:45. And not a lot of breaks in there. And the workouts look after Chad, not very long. And isn't that evening event, that's the ladder? No.
So that's Saturday morning one from 8 to 10:30. That's Chad. So I'm assuming, let's say the female go first or male from 8 to 9:15, let's call it, and then 9:15 to 10:30. So 2 heats probably. And then the 1 to 3 p.m. is the clean ladder. Event 8. So from 10:30, so let's say let's say the females go first. So let's say they're done around 9:15 at the latest. They got a few hours before the clean ladder to recover. Should be a good amount of time.
Then Sunday, it doesn't start till 11 a.m. That's the team. The indies start at noon with a quick 1 hour workout and then a 3 to 5 block. Award ceremony only 15 minutes after the final event. If they hold true to that, that is a massive improvement.
Yeah.
Massive. Last year, I think we waited an hour and a half after the event for the award ceremony.
Yeah.
At this point, when you look at the schedule, there are 11 events. Do you think there will be double scored events to get to 12? Have we been under 12 recently?
Not that I can remember for many years.
Yeah, 11 seems too few.
Yeah. So I wonder with Farrington Field if the sprint and the mile are 2 separate events.
Yeah. Likely.
I mean, that would be an easy one. And then do they throw another one in double scored, or?
I would like to see more scores on Sunday than two scored events to end the day, because you don't want someone to already have that wrapped up on Sunday with 2 events. Like you'd want to see, let's say, a finale that has a 2-part event, and you know what, you can't take an event off because there's 200, 300 points there that day. So I hope the Sunday has a double parter for sure.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think just the more events, the better.
Yeah.
Larry Young, thank you so much for the $4.99, dude. I really appreciate you. Happy Star was as big as Trista. You saw that, Carolyne. Did you think it was as big as her?
It's a pretty big star. It looks cool. But I think it's probably easier to carry than the sandbag, because a sandbag is like so much larger. And if you can't wrap your hands around it, it's like way more difficult. The star is almost like the Husafel, but I would say almost easier if I were to guess based on how
Did it look full or floppy like we talked last week?
No, it looks full, but I don't know how heavy it is. I don't think it's going to be ridiculously heavy. They're sprinting with it. Like, you don't want them necessarily face planting too, but
yes, you do. That's the fun.
It is.
I mean, you still want a sprint event.
Clock says you can bite the point of the star for additional support.
But I wonder how, like, if you can hold it, let's say on your shoulder, just different ways, like have it here and you're just holding the top like this as you're running.
Yeah,
And it would be interesting whether they have it in the warm-up area or not. And it's just like, you guys don't get to touch it. You guys get to touch it on the field and figure out how you want to run with it. That would be interesting.
Whoop, wrong one. Definitely easier, but cool. I'll tell you what, like, again, I volunteered an outdoor field in 17. So I had to go pick up the cheese curds. It's just a sandbag, but it painted yellow and called a cheese curd just made it look cooler. Like it just was. And it was no different than your normal everyday sandbag. So always got to be creative, right?
Yeah. I like it. I think it takes the arm length out of, I mean, that the benefit of the people with the longer wingspan. And it's just your strength.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they let them hold it for sure. How was Trista holding it? Like underneath the points or?
Yeah, just underneath like this. And then there was another picture. I think it was Caity Henniger, and she just had it on her shoulder.
Oh.
Yeah, but she's a boss. Like she can do whatever she wants. She's just one of the coolest ladies I've ever met in my life. When I did the Rogue, I had like some Penn State stuff on and they were playing Ohio State that day. She relentlessly came after me like hard. So now let's hit the teams.
All right.
We did massive research to come up with our top 5 teams. And sure. And so I'm going to pull those up. I got to see how this is going to work. Well, I think we'll do Jamie first.
Okay.
Here we go. Top 5 teams at the CrossFit Games.
Okay. I have 5th, 8th day, 4th Mayhem, just CrossFit Mayhem. They took out Independence. Why you got that in
I don't know.
there?
Because I was overachieving. And then I realized they took it off the leaderboard.
3rd, the Prestanda Krieger team. 2nd, Invictus. And 1st, Peak 360.
So my big question on this is the Krieger team. Why that one as opposed to the other 7?
I know. I don't know. They just seem like, isn't that the like longest standing team? Isn't that the, I don't know.
Well, they kind of broke up because, yeah, what's her name is with Peak.
Right.
But when I was looking at the teams, did you see Kristen Holt is listed on one of the teams?
I think she's
probably the alternate.
Yeah.
But how cool would it be for her to roll out the tunnel on that first event and make the major comeback?
That would be amazing. She is one fit lady. Holy cow. Yeah, I don't know that. I just think that I had them written down, like the names of the people on that team. I don't know where that list is right the second, but that was the group that I thought would.
Yeah. I like the 8th day CrossFit. I know. Is that does Danielle Dunlop, is she in that one?
Yes, she is. Mm-hmm.
So Clock, I think that Prestanda Krieger is what was navy blue.
Correct.
And I did look at the names and they did look familiar to me, but the Norwegian names are not easy to read and not to like differentiate without knowing the language is very hard.
Yeah.
So why Peak 360?
I just think they're going to win. I think Noah's the twosome of Noah and Tola, I just think is unstoppable. I think there might be better girls on other teams, but I just think Tola and Noah are insane.
See, I think their girls make the difference. I think their girls are great.
They're great, but so is like I think Hannah Black and Emily Rethwell duo will be an incredible duo.
I don't think they're any better than Mathilde Garness and my gosh, I'm blanking on the name right now of the other one.
See, you don't even know her name.
Yes, the one. She's super strong.
Navy blue.
Yes, she was.
Yes,
the blonde. Yeah.
Like I think that duo is very, very strong.
But this Invictus team is not Hannah Black and
no.
Okay.
No, that's the Unconquerable. I have them in like 7th. I wrote a list out to like 10th place, but
because this Invictus is Lauren Fisher.
Lena Richter. Good call.
Yeah. This Invictus is Lauren Fisher and Jessie Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but I know that I called you a homer when you sent me the 8th day because they're the Michigan team.
Correct.
You know them really well. And what makes you think that they're going to compete and make the top 5? Because I don't think you're wrong. I
mean, if I was being honest, I probably would put them in 6th, but I want them on here to be talked about. I mean, their guys are really strong. Dylan's incredibly strong. And if you watched them at semis, their strength, their power output in the machines is because they were 1st or 2nd in that machine workout. Their running is incredible. Rachel is like, she's an incredibly aerobic, enduring athlete, but like I would say she's like me, but way stronger. So I think she's just incredibly enduring. Good runner, good swimmer, incredible gymnastics under fatigue.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and share Carolyne's, and it's going to be so much different. There we go.
So in 5th, I have CrossFit Walleye. So that's Jamie Simmons and Elliot with Mia and Laura Horvath's brother. That's what he's always going to be known to me. Team CrossFit Mayhem. I think they'll have a great year. Mayhem Thunder in 3rd, and Invictus and Peak 360. I think it's going to be very close between Peak 360 and Invictus. I don't think it's going to be one until the last event. I think both teams have some extremely fit individuals. Both teams have been working together all year long, which isn't always the case for teams. I think all of these teams here are going to be very good at the games.
I think teams have been getting a lot of negative press over the last year. And I think this could be one of the best top 5s we see in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go ahead and pull mine up. So my top 5 is Walleye in 5th, Unconquerable in 4th,
nice.
Mayhem in 3rd, Peak 360 2nd, Invictus in 1st. So I picked Invictus over Peak 360 because we couldn't have 3 of the exact same, which killed me so hard because Mathilde has a special place in my heart and always will. And I love that girl. And I used to not be a Noah fan. And then I got to meet him and I got to know him. And now I want him to get a win. I really do. But I'm picking Invictus just because I want it to be different.
Okay.
Because I think they are very, very similar. And I think that Jessie Smith doesn't get the due she deserves. She is really freaking fit.
She is.
And if Lauren Fisher is the Lauren Fisher we saw in the off season at like Rogue, I think that they will do really, really well. And I think Mayhem after 2 years together and only having to change one person out is 2 years of working together and is going to do them very, very well. And then Unconquerable, I think at this point there's so many good teams. They looked really good at the West Coast and with Hannah Black and Rethwell, and I think they're going to do well as the men are semifinal athletes that I got to know through the interview process. So a little bit of heart pick here as well. And Walleye, I went with them over Mayhem Thunder just because of age. And it's more the age of the men. Con and
James
Newberry. I think they've seen a better day as an athlete. They're both phenomenal athletes. It's just the competition's really tough at this point. So that's why I went with Walleye over them. And Julian's asking, why did only one person pick Mayhem Thunder? And I just gave you my reason why, because it's the men. I would never pick against Cara if she had stronger men on her team. But yeah.
Yeah. I had them higher. I moved them down so I could put 8th day on. I'm really curious to see how the Torian team does too with Royce.
Yeah, I was going back and forth between that one and CrossFit Walleye. I really like the Walleye team. I just feel like there's been a lot of injuries in the past, competitions with like Jamie and even Elliot staying healthy. So that's why I was contemplating grabbing the other Torian team.
And
but ultimately went with Walleye. Yeah, Mia is so
right?
good. Yeah, Mia is so strong. Her gymnastics is great too. Yeah, that team is really, really good.
I would have loved to seen Royce on Cara's team. I think it would have been an incredible team.
Yeah, Vi asks, is Royce's team in the running? I would have loved. I love Royce, and I love, and if the two of them were together, definitely give them a better shot in the top 5, for sure. And I love Con and James too. Like, they're some of the most fun guys to talk to. Super nice, super polite. Every time I run into them, just great dudes. And I just think that they haven't focused on CrossFit as much. And Con's been hurt a ton the last few years. Yeah. Like when he was on Annie's team, his back was a mess. So, yeah. Yeah, the Aussies could put together a team that would be unreal if they would just kind of band together and do that.
Exactly.
I guess I don't know how close they live to each other.
True. You think of it as a small island, but it's like 6 hours across or something like that. Or Jonathan says, but they have Cara's quads.
I just think their experience is going to prevail. I think they don't have as much pressure on them because they're just kind of like they're going. They're going to have fun. They're good friends. They have good chemistry. I just think they've been at the game so many times, and they're gonna step up. And I think they'll podium.
Yeah, it's funny that experience thing is crazy because I've been doing all these masters interviews, and a lot of them are rookies. A lot of them are going for the first time. And the people that aren't, I've asked them, what's the advice you would give to a rookie? And every one of them is like, I was so overwhelmed that first year, I didn't enjoy it. Like, I didn't take it in. I didn't look around. I didn't realize I was like at this really cool thing. And some of the younger athletes, I think, are going to have that same thing where that one, the Peak, the Invictus, and the Thunder team will not be fazed by that at all.
Right.
So, okay. Did you like how I used the bobbleheads in our graphics this week?
I didn't even see it.
You didn't see your bobblehead beside the top by your name? Oh my God. I closed them down.
Aw.
Well, I'll put them on IG, so you'll see them there.
Okay.
All right. So the next thing on the agenda is Mike Halpin put together this concept of how to give points for the training camp award. And with it, it also kind of allows, if you're not with a training camp, to kind of be lumped together as one as well.
Okay.
So let me share this. So the way it would work is it's like a medal table, just like the Olympics. And you would count up the gold, silvers, and bronze from each event throughout the weekend. So event 1, Mayhem takes gold, Brute takes silver, and Krypton takes bronze. You get a check in each one of your columns. Then event 2 comes, and Underdogs takes gold, Training Think Tank takes silver, and HWPO takes bronze. You get a check in your column. So what are your thoughts on this, as opposed to kind of the other concepts we heard of, where at the end of the weekend, you get a point for where you finish, like a point for first, 2 points for second, and it's a golf score. Low score wins.
I like this idea. I mean, I think this is kind of cool to track throughout the week, and I'd be curious where how it plays out as to just first, second, third, or whatever, and giving places, if it really matters a whole lot. Like, is the top training camp going to be the top training camp no matter what? Probably.
Yeah, it was Carolyne Lombre that came up with this, probably because Jeff Adler doesn't have, a training camp. I don't even like the word training camp, because there's not many people that are at camps versus training program, I think was probably what Dave was referring to, versus an actual camp where people train. But I like this idea that anyone could, participate, whether you're at your garage gym like Ariel to, Mayhem having multiple athletes be competing and just, tally the scores per event. Whether you want to represent your gym, like your affiliate, or a training program, because you could be an affiliate, but you're following another training program. So whatever you want to represent, you would put there. I think it's a cool idea. I thought that was neat.
Would you put teams in this too? Or is this for individual only?
I think individual only.
So many teams.
I don't really have a problem either way, except for that.
Yeah, there's so many teams. Like, I think like 4 of the. I mean, you have 2 of the Invictus teams, 1 Underdogs team, and then like 4 or 5 Mayhem teams.
I just think it's hard because sometimes on teams they don't even follow the same program. Like it's their team. It's their team name, really. I think you would have, if you really want to do a team, you just have a separate leaderboard for the teams for first, second, and third on events.
Yeah,
I don't think it would belong in this type of leaderboard. Just the individuals.
So then he also flipped it over to countries. Why not do a medal count, just like we do for the Olympics? So, like, Canada has some really good men athletes right now.
And women. What are you talking about? Our women are crushing it.
And, like, as a Canadian, Carolyne, wouldn't you want to see how you stack up on a medal count against the world? Like, I think this actually has probably more traction because it means more to the athlete than even the training camp.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong?
I think both have good, like, the athletes can have pride in their country and then also representing their affiliate or their personal training program, because I think, when you're representing your country, it's one thing, but also putting your company or your brand out there can be beneficial. So if people are like, oh, Ariel's gym, or just a random Wonderland, right? Like CrossFit Wonderland, and then you just start seeing all the points for that, and it just gives good reputation to that affiliate.
Yeah.
I like both ideas.
If I were a betting man, I would say that Halpin probably will run this through the games in both ways, and we'll actually see what it looks like at the end. And really, that's all we really need. We don't need to give a prize for it. It just, I think for spectators, it'd be really cool to see.
Yeah, I like this. Easy to follow. It's a cool idea.
Yeah. Very cool.
Good job, Mike.
Would
It's
it
hard
be
to
more?
tell, like-
Would it be more would it be more interesting with the countries or with the regions, and be like North America East is dominating in these top threes? Because that's when you start looking at, points allocations and or like number of allocation for spots and stuff, and be like, look at how many like the East are just, or Europe is running away. I think that would be interesting, even though it's just top three. I think that could also be another leaderboard that Halpin makes.
Yeah. Or we could get Holly on this.
There you go.
We'd know it and be able to talk about it throughout the weekend, the different ways. And maybe that, you're right, it's only top three, but maybe it lends itself a little bit to the strength of region and how many places it should get. Who knows? But it's just, at this point, it's just data that would be cool to see, I think, regardless of prize or whatever. So we're actually coming to the end of the show, which is pretty quick for us on Games Week, but not a lot's happened this weekend, so we're good. I think it came out this afternoon. Carolyne sent us a DM about John Wooley had a video that went up on his constantly varied conversations. And he talks about the expectations before you get to the games, what happens when you get to the games. And then he had like a rant at the end. And specifically about the rant, it was that Dave is using his personal Instagram account to make CrossFit Games announcements. And Wooley said, I, for one, am blocked from those announcements. And if he initiates it and collaborates with CrossFit Games and whoever else, because he initiates it, the people that he has blocked cannot see those posts regardless of who it's collaborated with. Should CrossFit be using his personal Instagram account for CrossFit Games news?
I mean, if that's the route they want to take, he needs to unblock everybody. That needs to be completely open. Why does he have people blocked? I don't understand.
Carolyne, do you have thoughts, or you want to pass?
I mean, I kind of agree. Like, everyone should have access to the information, all the hints, everything. So whether it's making another account or, I'm not sure what the solution is there, because I didn't know that about, like, if CrossFit Games shared that people would be able to see. Like, it didn't even cross my mind that was a problem with people that were blocked. So I just thought it was interesting. I was like, oh, I didn't look at it from that way.
So John Young says, Wooley is a rough listen. That's personal opinion. I'm blocked from 2019. I just made a different account so I can see important things. And that's great that you were able to do that, but we shouldn't have to do that, right? Especially if you're an athlete and you happen to get blocked. Like, as an athlete, you should get the information along with every other athlete, or have access to that information the same as every other athlete.
Mm-hmm. John asked if I gave event 4 a go, and no, I didn't yet. I did think it was interesting that the females had 30 cals to 50, but I think that that's smart because there's the same amount of rope climbs for the men, and 25 rope climbs for men versus 25 rope climbs for the females is not the same. So I think that going a little bit lower on the cals is smarter, especially because some of the men can really pull that skier much more than the females. But I will have to give it a go.
Jonathan Ortega, the same with all socials. It's his personal account. He can put out whatever he wants. It's just so happens he puts out CrossFit info. I get it that you're allowed to put whatever you want on your own social media account, but if you are giving official CrossFit Games information, and it's probably that he doesn't even know when he collaborates with the games that his blocks carry over. I'm betting he doesn't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until today. So, John says in 2019, he went on a blocking rampage. I may or may not have commented on the programming leading up to the cuts. This was before I was ever on a podcast.
Yeah. I mean, that just seems spiteful. Like, I just don't think he needs to block anybody. Like, you block people so that you don't see their stories, right? Like, that's why I would block somebody if I didn't want to see their stuff anymore.
You don't want to see their comments. That's why you block someone.
I don't know.
You don't want to see their comments on your stuff anymore. And he can block whoever he wants. I could give two shits about who he blocks.
Well, not on
My point is he runs the CrossFit Games.
Right.
The CrossFit Games has an Instagram account. If you're going to release stuff that's information to the athletes, it should be released on the Games site and then collaborated with Dave.
Yeah.
If he wants to keep doing that, so that the unblocked people following the CrossFit Games site get that information, and he can still have them blocked on his personal account. So and maybe they fixed that. Maybe he didn't even know this existed in this way, like that was the way that Instagram works. Cause I did not know that.
I just think he should unblock everybody.
If it's his personal account, I think he can do whatever he wants to do. But if you're putting out CrossFit Games information, it needs to be available to everyone. So either you choose to unblock and keep posting it there, or you move it to the CrossFit Games IG account where people can see.
Yes, one or the other.
So a couple quick hitters to go. WZA SoCal has announced the swag that the competitors are getting, as well as the volunteers. Competitors, if you sign up for any of the community events, you get a shirt, you get some shoes, and you get some sunglasses. Volunteers get a couple hats, a couple pairs of sunglasses, some shoes, and looks like a lot of shirts.
Did we figure out if that's
From
the
everything I'm
options?
seeing, it's not options. This is the package.
I didn't see that.
I mean, I think it's great that Tier's giving these packages of shoes and shirts and 10 sunglasses for all the events. I don't know that I need all those sunglasses as an athlete, but pretty cool. Maybe they're trying to get rid of some inventory, but it's great. It's great that the volunteers are getting all of that. I mean, you probably need a change of clothes, but this is the SoCal one, right?
Yeah.
So it's not the raining Florida that you might need all that change of clothes, but I mean, you might be sweating a lot. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah. When I was a volunteer, like, you're sweating just as much as an athlete. A change of shirt would be really cool. Throughout and have a couple for the weekend and not have to go do laundry. Would be great. And maybe you want to color coordinate your sunglasses. So then the last couple things we have on the agenda are from the Masters world. Quick hitters. Marcia van Glenen Weigel was disqualified from the Masters CrossFit Games. She had failed a drug test back in 2021 during the European Masters Weightlifting Championships. This news was broken by Barbell Spin, and she went on a rampage blaming Barbell Spin for her being disqualified from the CrossFit Games. Yeah. It wasn't the Barbell Spin that failed a drug test, and they didn't hold a competition in which she did fail it, where she could appeal to him. So I don't know how she makes that correlation, but she has been removed. She was in the 55 to 59-year-old division. So, and then she made fun of Spin's squats on his thrusters, which no call for that.
Yeah.
If she's going down, she wanted to make sure everyone was going down.
She's
like, you called me out, I'm gonna find anything on you and call you out.
Yeah.
She tried to kill her from a bad perspective.
I mean, to her credit, I think that Brian can go lower on his thrusters, so I will agree with that. But it doesn't justify a failed drug test, and she wasn't set up for a failed drug test, like she was insinuating.
Yeah, and it doesn't. Brian's squat depth does not stop the fact that he is the one breaking news left and right in this world, and is really good at it. And he just broke the news that she had committed. And she knew she failed that test. Like, when you sign up for the games, you know that's on your record.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then the other thing that Barbell Spin broke this week was the backfill process that got all janky in the 35 to 39-year-old division. So the way this plays out is Jasmine Sheehan qualifies for the CrossFit Games as a Masters athlete. She's also on a team. She declines her invitation to the Masters CrossFit Games because she's going team. Right after that, Chantal Bouchard receives an email saying, be prepared, you're the next one up if someone else declines or something else happens. Jasmine's teammate pops for PEDs, and they become ineligible to go to the CrossFit Games on a team. She notifies CrossFit that she wants to rescind her decline. Jamie Hygia then hurts her shoulder and has to withdraw from the CrossFit Games. The backfill spot goes to Jasmine after declining instead of Chantal. I think this is criminal, personally.
I just am wondering why the heck they all of a sudden this year are trying to backfill up to 40th place when last year they had plenty of time to backfill China Cho's spot and did not choose to do any legwork to fill that spot.
Because it's not the CrossFit Games running, it's the Masters, and they'll take the most amount of people to fill for the, like, money wise. I know both athletes. I'm good friends with Jasmine. It's like it's an unfortunate circumstance that, you know, I think she should have accepted both. If I was in her position, I get it costs money. But once she had qualified as, you know, for a team, her sole focus was the team CrossFit Games. Later on, they did pop, like Tyler Lee popped. I think it's still under appeal. It's not yet official. It's tough because I feel the spot should go to Chantal, like, by the rules that they have in place. However, who's going to get a better, who's going to help bring the competition level up? It's Jasmine. Like, she's a top 10 games athlete in that age group versus a 42nd place. So she brings up the level higher, but it's tough because I think once you decline, I don't know if you should have a second opportunity. It sucks that happened, but that was her decision to decline in the first place, is how I view it. But I'm happy for her. that she gets that opportunity to compete at the games.
Yeah, I think a rule is a rule. And if you want to be a sport, you've got to follow the rules. And if you think that you messed up and the rule should be different, there should be a process in changing that rule for the next year. But there was documentation sent to Chantal and that she was up next, and then for them to go back on that to go to a different direction. Like, not only are you changing the rule, but you sent documentation and you're going against the documentation you sent. Like it.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, they didn't have to send Chantal an email. The fact that they did and said, get ready, like it's the CrossFit Games fault to, you know, they went back on their word and they took Jasmine. Like, it's not Jasmine's fault. Like, she asked, she was like, hey, is it too late to get my spot back? And then something happened and they had, like, it's not like, if there's no wrong in asking if I'm Jasmine in that position and I lost my spot on a team, so I'm going to go see if it's still available, you know, like, it's almost like if your ex is still available after something happens. But invite them both. I think CrossFit messed up. Like, you almost have to invite them both, because I don't think what they did is fair to Chantal.
Yeah. You bringing up your ex like that would put it, you decline, you say, sorry, I'm going in. I love her more. I'm going over here. And then whoop.
You still available?
Yeah. Got cheated on. So you come back, still available. Can I? Yeah. I don't know. At the end of the day, why not just bring them both? You know, between now and then, one person's probably not going to make it there. So why not just bring them both at this point? After this mess up, just do that. And then change the rule to whatever, to be what you want it to be next year. And then adhere to it going forward. So there is so Julian Eifert asked this question. Do you guys think there's a Sevan verse, since he was the first CrossFit podcast and everything else was born from that? I don't think he was the first. And that's what I just want. And it's been talked about below. Barbell Shrugged came way before that. Armin Hammer has been around forever. And yeah, the CrossFit podcast was before a lot, but like Coffee Pods and Wads and I started before Sevan started his podcast. Nobody just knew who we were at that point in time. So, yeah, there were lots of podcasts out there, before even the CrossFit podcast started. Okay. So the after party. It was announced yesterday, that there's an after party at the CrossFit Games at Billy Bob's, which I've been to in my past. It is a massive, massive honky tonk. It's got like 3 stages and bunches of stuff, restaurant inside, whole bunch of stuff, but it is, yeah, it's happening, the last night, Sunday night from 9 PM to 2 AM. You can get your tickets, at CrossFit.com. There it is.
Are you going to go?
I went to one after party and I realized that I am way too old for that stuff these days. It's just, the music was so loud, I couldn't even talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And at that point, like, that took all the fun of it out for me. So
there's the official after party, and then a lot of times there's like another after party, like that most of the athletes go to, it was like a more private event. It'll be interesting whether, for the first year, if more athletes go to this one.
It is a massive place. Like, it would fit a lot of people, and you could probably hide the athletes in their own area. It's so big. But yeah, I am not going. I will tell you right now, my flight's Monday morning. At some point, I'm just going to go back and do this show Sunday night, because we'll be back next Sunday night at the same time, right after the CrossFit Games are over, breaking it all down. Sunday night CrossFit Talk every week. And we are probably going to do some mid-afternoon shows throughout the week. We're going to look at the schedule and see where it best fits in, to not collide with everybody and to get in where we can. I'll probably do a lot of that live from the media room right there in Dickies. So that's our show. Heading to Fort Worth Wednesday morning. I'll be there on the ground sometime Wednesday afternoon. I've already booked Tristan Patrick to talk a little bit about his journey down there, to talk with Hattie, a short little interview we're going to do there. And then whatever else happens. I have no plans. Probably go over and give John some crap at the barbell spin booth. Tell him his picks suck and that Saxon's going to win the whole thing. Just so I can give it back to him like he's been giving it to me. So yeah, with that, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. We've added 22 subscribers this week alone. We want to keep those numbers rolling. We're going into the games. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff while we're there. And we're going to keep it rolling all the way through the Masters games. So notifier, so you know when all the shows are coming. Make sure you do that. And if you want to support the show, hit the join button. And for $2.99 a month, you can help support the show. With that, Jonathan, we talked about my haircut at the beginning. It's a lack of haircut, not getting a haircut. I will be getting my haircut on Tuesday. With that, we'll see everybody next time on the Clydesdale Media. Nope, not that one. The Sunday Night CrossFit Talk. We'll be back on Sunday Night CrossFit Talk next week. Bye, guys.